as soon as you say to Oscar that Leo's coming in, he, you know, instantly brightens up and smiles, and it's just nice to see, really.
Lovely to see you too. So let's introduce you to our guests here in the studio. It's Dan McCormack and Scamp, who you saw just a moment ago. Also with us, Suzanne Guest, who's an occupational psychologist. So, Dan, you suffered a few years ago, what, 3 years ago, a very bad head injury.
Yeah.
In hospital for quite a while.
I was, yes.
How were you at that stage?
Obviously, I was in hospital for 7 weeks, and obviously the recovery continuing, obviously, after I came out of hospital. Obviously, before the accident, I was obviously quite an outgoing chap, and basically from resulting from the accident, I turned into basically a recluse. It was and then obviously it was mentioned at the time by my occupational therapist at the time that I got a purpose, and obviously through looking on the Dogs Trust website at the time, and careful consideration, it was thought that obviously obviously the benefits he obviously has given me, and obviously getting me out and about again, meeting people that probably wouldn't speak to, and doing things like this basically.
So it's made a real difference?
A massive difference to my confidence again, even to the fact of obviously when I'm not feeling too great, obviously I'm still suffering from time to time with low mood, and obviously Scamp picked me up, and he sort of picks up on it.
Is he desperate to get off the set?
Is he trying to get somewhere? Where does he want to go?
I can see my mum.
Your mum is upset there. But I'll tell you what, if you want to let him go, he's not going to go far.
Do you want to go and see mum?
Oh, there we go.
Maybe he'll come back in a minute.
Did an excellent move under the Christmas tree then as well. I was well impressed with that. It's lovely to meet Dan and Scamp. Suzanne, how common is Dan's story then?
Lots of people find that they get benefit from having pets after they've either recovered from an illness or an injury. And I think one of the big things is they're just not judgmental, so it's quite common after somebody's had a brain injury to maybe be mistaken as somebody who's drunk, because maybe problems with slurred speech or balance and things like that. And dogs just don't care whether or not you can get your words out or not. They want a cuddle, they want a walk. They don't care whether or not you put your makeup on. And I think, as Dan said, it's about having purpose as well. So when my lovely Auntie Winnie was around and she got a bit older, her motivation for getting up in the morning was to feed her cat.
Yeah, and that makes a big difference to people, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Dan, there have been days when you've been feeling particularly low, and Scamp is the one who's made the difference.
Yeah. Quite a number of occasions. Obviously, the accident was in 2014, so between then and now there's been a good few days. The recovery is still ongoing, and yeah, like I say, if it wouldn't been for him, truly, when I say this from the heart, I would have given up. It's been a tough fight. It's not easy, and I appreciate obviously people that are going through similar things to what I'm going through, if not worse.
Yeah, it's really clear how much of a difference Scamp's made for you. Suzanne, is there any evidence that it actually makes a difference with people's treatment and welfare then, well-being?
There's certainly lots of anecdotal evidence that people benefit from having animals around. There's certainly lots of evidence around people having purpose to the day. And often we find that we'll care for something or somebody more than we'll care for ourselves. So that, just having that purpose of getting up and feeding the dog. Things like, if you don't feel like going out for a walk, you have to go out for a walk, get some fresh air to go and feed the dog. And I had to work with a man he had a stroke quite early in his 20s, and he worked with a donkey. He lost his vision, and his donkey used to walk him around the field, and he's convinced his donkey knew that he was suffering and kind of walked slowly with him.
I tell you what, I mean, even having, Scamp's coming back now, even having a dog just here in the studio, one of the things it does is it engages you, doesn't it? Because it gives you someone's community, it could be a person ideally, but in this case it's a pet to engage with.
Yeah.
And that makes a big difference, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. He's been very well behaved so
He's
far.
supply of food, down
And I'm just like to ask you, Dan, we saw some of the youngsters in hospital there.
Yes.
They're taking dogs into hospital, and it was so lovely seeing that interaction. I can imagine it making a big difference.
Going into a hospital, I could see why. Obviously through my own experience, and even people have stopped me in my local park, and then they too. There's a lady I know. She's had a stroke, and she's got a dog, and that's given her the same as me.
Well, it's lovely to see you this morning. And Scamp, look at that. What perfect timing. Just as we finish, he's come back. And it's almost down as if you're in control.
Yeah, I think professional.
I think he's spotted himself on camera, hasn't he?
Lovely to see you here this morning. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Scamp.
If you hear noises during the rest of the programme, you'll know that we've not managed to get Scamp out of the studio.
I don't mind, though.
He's quite comforting for us as well, isn't he?
Let's see, time now is 17 minutes past 7. You're watching Breakfast from BBC News. Our main stories this morning. The Kremlin has warned it will retaliate for